welcome to our competitive napping. For today, you will need a strap and a couple of blankets and a bolster. And if you don't have a bolster, you can use a pillow and a blanket. And if you aren't using a specific bolster, I would also recommend having a block handy. So you don't need it if you have the full bolster, but if you don't have the full bolster, I would recommend also a block. So as we begin today, I decided more than anything what we need today is love. And actually it's a really beautiful opportunity because our theme this week at the studio is Krishna, and he is the Lord of love. And in fact, he was really truly born out of a plea for help from Mother Earth to this idea that it's too much to handle at this point and I need help. This sacred surrender moment of Mother Earth brought the Lord of love into being, and he was a fierce warrior, and lots of yoga texts, so the Bhagavad Gita and several of the other texts detail his journeys and adventures and all of those things. But I feel like today, more than anything, we just need that presence of fierce love when we don't know what to do, and we can just come back to ourselves in that space to remember there is fierce love right here and now. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to begin with some legs up the wall. So I would invite you to bring a folded blanket to a wall or to anything that will help you hold your legs up. And then I'm going to invite you to grab a strap as well. So with legs up the wall, we bring the hips to one side of the space that we're going to be, and then we gently come to our backs as we swing our legs up into the air. And as we begin to get settled here, we'll take the strap and create a large loop. And we're just going to allow our legs to be held by the strap. So I'm going to make a big loop by bringing one end of my strap through the buckles and then over and under as we come back through. And if you don't have a strap, you can just use a towel and simply tie the feet. So once I've got my strap, I'm going to thread my legs through and bring the strap just above the knees. So we kind of have this fleshy space before we get into the big muscles of the legs above the knees. And we're going to tighten there, bringing the buckle between the legs so that we don't pinch any skin. And so once your legs are set, you can begin to let go of that tendency to feel like we have to hold them in place. Really let the strap do the work. Keeping a micro bend in the knees. And before we get any deeper, just check in with the shoulder blades. If need be, tuck each one down the back. Letting the arms come wide to the side, or if you like, you can bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Take a big, deep breath in. And a big sigh out the mouth. And begin to allow your attention and awareness to rest within the wave of your breath here. With each inhalation, really filling through the belly, through the diaphragm, finding the fullness through the breadth and the depth of your torso. Letting the exhalation be long. The flow of the breath can really be this beautiful touchstone that we come back to, much like the presence of love we find within ourselves. No matter the chaos that might swirl around us, no matter what challenges we might meet, we always have the presence of breath, the presence of love, right here and now.
Having fully arrived into this heartbeat, into this space on your mat within your body and your being, I'm going to lead us through a little box breath exercise. This method is really just a conscious control of the breath to help really encourage and cultivate relaxation. The more that we control the breath, not from a space of cutting off, but actually from a space of deepening. Ultimately, the less that we breathe, as long as we're in the fullness of our breath, the more we can slow down the breath, we lengthen our capacity of life. We encourage the really beautiful and resilient factors of our systems, of our nervous system, of our brain and heart. So we'll breathe in for a count of 4, we'll hold for a count of 4, we'll breathe out for a count of 4, and we'll hold for a count of 4. So we'll keep that in all directions. So inhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And just allow the breath to return naturally. Inhale and exhale. Just letting yourself resonate and receive the effects of that box breath. Experiencing 3 more deep, full breaths, letting the breath flow in and the breath flow out. Gently beginning to bend through the knees, sliding the heels closer to the hips. We're going to undo our loop and just release the legs from the strap. Setting the strap aside, hugging the knees into the chest, just letting gravity bring them close to you. Perhaps rocking a little from side to side, and then allowing yourself to fall over to a side of your choice. Pausing there for 1 round of breath. Eventually bringing yourself back up to seated and to a kneeling position as we set up for our next posture.
So we're going to move to our mats here. I highly recommend for this next series. So we're going to use our bolster. And if you're using just a pillow in place of the bolster, I highly recommend bringing a folded blanket on top. And in fact, you may also want a block to help support the head and neck, but you're going to want to put either another folded blanket on top or leave some of the folded blanket at the top just to help soften that block that's there. So once you've got those pieces down, we're going to bring the knees to the right edge of the mat. Bring the right hip down just below the bolster. And we're going to stack our ankles and our knees. And if that feels like a lot for you, you can bring your other folded blanket in between the knees and the ankles just to give it a little added support. My blanket has decided to go AWOL on me, so I need to adjust it there. So once you've got your knees and hips in alignment, you're going to frame your bolster. So you're actually shifting the chest and the sternum to face your bolster, and then you're going to gently lay the chest down, bring the head to rest on top of that extra support there. Take a big deep breath in and a big sigh out the mouth. Allowing the eyes to close or the gaze to soften. Let yourself begin to soften here. Feeling the breath flow in and the breath flow out. Letting yourself remember that the love that is right here within you can save the world. It's that fierce and that powerful and that present. Noticing the pathways of the breath as you breathe in fully and deeply. And noticing yourself settling back deeper as you exhale and release the breath. Taking one more deep, full breath in. As you exhale, gently pressing through the palms, lifting your torso up, shifting your hips around to the other side. Again, bringing your palms to frame your bolster as you shift your heart and your chest to come parallel to your mat and gently lower down. Taking a big, deep breath in and a big sigh out the mouth. Let yourself settle here. Gently scan from the crown of your head down to your neck and your shoulders, tuning into your arms and your hands, moving down through the spine into the hips, down through the glutes and the thighs to the knees, down through the calves and the shins to your ankles, to your feet, to your toes, and notice where you find tension, where you find a sense of holding. Maybe you notice it in the grip of your hands or the tension within your forearms as you're ever so slightly holding yourself in this position. Maybe you notice it in the stiffness of your neck as you find yourself in this spinal twist. Maybe you find it in your hip or your low back. Wherever it is that you might find this sense of tension under the surface, invite the breath there and let yourself notice how things shift and flow as you come with presence and awareness to those densities. Let it be as easy as inhaling and exhaling. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more deep, full breath in. And exhale. Take one more And as you exhale, gently press through the palms, raising through the torso, coming back to seated. As you come to seated, setting your blanket aside if you had it between your legs. Maybe just bring the soles of the feet together, letting your pelvis and your spine be centered. As we open through the hips, gently inhale, growing tall through the spine. As you exhale, gently folding forward, just for a couple rounds of breath here. Beautiful. I'm going to invite you to come to kneeling. We're going to leave much of our prop setup exactly where it is. You may want to bring a folded blanket under the knees here, and so we can make that slight adjustment. So bring your knees onto the extra support. We're going to come into a child's pose here. So if you want to make any adjustments to your bolster, if you need any extra support under the head, feel free to make those adjustments here. But otherwise, you can just begin to bring the knees wide on your mat so that your legs begin to frame the edge of your bolster. And then once again, we'll frame our props and gently lower our chest, this time directly on top, letting your gaze come to one side. Again, take a big deep breath in and a big sigh out the mouth as you settle into this support. Giving yourself permission to be right where you are, just as you are. With each heartbeat, letting yourself remember that you deserve to be held and supported just as you are. That there is love for you right here and now. Taking one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, just shifting your gaze to the other side. If you like, you can find the release of that audible sigh as you exhale. Finding 2 more rounds of breath here. As you find your final exhalation, gently pressing through the arms, coming back to a kneeling position. I'm going to make some adjustments here. You can, if you have a bolster, you can begin to shift it from long ways to short ways on your mat. And if you're using more, if you have a longer pillow, you can make that same shift. If you're using more of a square pillow, you can simply adjust by folding the blanket onto itself and removing the block. So taking care to make those adjustments. And once again, you're going to bring your knees to the right edge of your mat, letting your right hip find the earth. And in this case, we don't need to necessarily so consciously stack your limbs, your legs. If you like to, you can, but if you want to adjust it so you have a little relief, you can do that as well. And rather than squaring the torso off, in this case, we're going to reach out with the left hand and with the right hand, and bring the right ribs down to your bolster. And as you take a big, deep breath in, really notice how it feels within your ribs. Noticing the distance expand between them. Noticing that constructive tension as they press deeper into your bolster. And as you release the breath, noticing that sense of spaciousness and release. Letting the breath flow in and the breath flow out. Letting each inhalation be full and deep. Letting each exhalation be long. As you come to the bottom of each of your breaths, perhaps resonate with that knowing that there is love here. Finding one more full round of breath here. And pressing gently through your left palm, coming back up to seated, switching your legs to the other side. And then reaching out with the left arm as you bring the left ribs down to your props. Finding that space of support. Taking a big deep breath in and a big sigh out the mouth as you settle in. Once again, perhaps returning to that touchstone. There is love here. Finding one more deep, full breath in. And as you exhale, gently coming back up to seated. And once again, we're going to shift that bolster long ways one more time. And if you are using a shorter pillow, again, I highly recommend bringing a block and allowing some of that blanket to create a little nest for your head. And then we're going to face the front of our mat, facing away from our bolster, and gently bring the palms to plant just behind the hips. We're going to bring the soles of the feet to the mat and gently lower our backs onto our props, making any adjustments as we need. Sliding the shoulder blades down the back, really opening through the chest. This is a big heart opener. You can keep the soles of your feet on your mat, or you can extend your legs long, finding what you need here. And then again, taking a big deep breath in and a big sigh out. Let yourself be held right where you are. Let yourself be contained in a presence of love that is all embracing, freely offered, fully given, right here and now. Letting the breath flow in, the breath flow out. Letting yourself remember to remember that there is love right here and now. Finding 3 more rounds of breath here. With your final exhalation, bringing the soles of your feet back to the mat. Gently windshield wipering your knees from side to side. And planting your palms just behind your hips. And gently bringing yourself propped up onto your elbows and then pressing through your palms, coming back to seated. Finally, we're going to set up for our final resting posture. There are lots of options in Shavasana. You know, both of you are quite studied in the land of Shavasana. So feel free to do what serves you. If you want to bolster under the knees, if you want to add a folded blanket under the head and neck, to make yourself comfortable. Giving yourself the care and the love of giving yourself just what you need right here and now. Letting this heartbeat be an ode to remembering that you deserve good care. Taking a big deep breath in and a big sigh out the mouth. Let it all go as you begin to settle in here. Finally, releasing the conscious efforting of the breath and the body. To let yourself be at ease right here in your tissues, right here in the wave of your breath. To be as you are. And to remember that sometimes, really always, it's enough to just breathe and be just as you are. It is enough. So as you allow yourself to rest here, to breathe, to integrate, to receive, let this breath and this heartbeat be enough. As you let yourself remember that you, just as you are more than enough.
Once again, I invite you to connect to the wave of the breath, the rhythm and the presence of your heartbeat. Letting yourself remember right here and now that there is love. Beginning to wiggle through the fingers and toes. With your next exhale, extend your arms up overhead, really feeling through that good morning stretch. That depth between the soles of your feet and your fingertips. And with your next exhale, hugging the knees into the chest, rocking a little from side to side, feeling your sacrum rooted to the earth. Eventually allowing yourself to fall over to a side of your choice, pausing there, breathing. In this posture of rebirth, we are reminded that we begin again in every breath, with love, with choice, with sovereignty, with wholeness. With your next breath, bringing yourself back to seated in whatever way serves you, bringing your palms to connect in front of your heart, left palm in union with right palm. Slight tuck of the chin as you bow towards your heart. Connecting to that depth of love within you. That dance of softness and fierceness. That we find both qualities. Namaste in its simplest form means the light in me honors and acknowledges the light in you. Bringing thumbs to third eye center between the eyebrows and the forehead, bowing forward to seal your practice. Namaste. Thank you for coming to practice today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, requests, feel free to share them. I'll be here for a few more minutes. Thanks for joining tonight.
Thank you.